And we're back. Hey guys, glad everybody came back in. Well, some of everybody. Let's see who is in here. Brandy Gray. What is the TCC? Another channel? No. I just used the initials, the True Crime Community. TCC. That's what that means. Sorry about that. There's Aggie. Muffin Top. Brooks. Good day. How are you? I'm good, Muffin Top. How are you? How are you? By the way, I don't put it out there enough, and I should, but every Friday at noon Central Time, we have a members live that is absolutely hysterical. We have giveaways here and there. It's a lot of fun. So if you want to get in on it, let me know, and I'll drop the link. Rita, hello. Sergeant Friday, hello again. Preschool Granny, Gaelic Girl. Fruit Loop, how are you? Fruit Loop, how are you? Just me. Lone Wolf is back. We are blessed. That's 2 in one day we've gotten to see you. Awesome. Deb, who did an amazing job on the last show. Appreciate it. Fruit Loop. I was wondering about this too. People keep asking if I was the Fruit Loop. Okay, not the cereal. And I found a channel by that name, so thought I better change it up. Yeah, I kind of wonder if that was you too. Because I did come across somebody on a channel named Fruit Loop, and I'm like, is that our Fruit Loop? There's Kat, who's backstage. Be a shiner, not a whiner. Sonia, how are you? Hope everyone's having a good afternoon. Amber, what's up, my friend? Alicia, hello. Mallory, hello. Deborah, hello. Misty Dew, hello. Michelle, hello. I need to get my glasses. There's Pat, who, by the way, was awesome on the last show as well. Great. Hello, Teddy Bear. Sorry. Unsolved with Barb. Hello. What a cool name. Very cool name. Downtown Trina. How you doing, girlfriend? I missed you in the last show. Lady Red Light. How are you? Cool name. Cool name. There's my friend Danielle. Crime and Justice. Hello. Big T. Never forget Big T's mom. She's awesome. So how many of you guys have been following the case of Michael Vaughn? It is a true abduction, and this is what's really got my feathers ruffled. People are doing anything they can. They're reaching for every straw, any bird on a wire possibility to try to put the parents at fault. Now, mind you, they're working their ass off to get an Amber Alert, but they want to throw shade at this family. And why, I'll never understand. Everything points to abduction. Tyler could not possibly be upstairs changing a diaper and working with people to kidnap his son, his biological son. So we're going to talk about that. Have a special guest today besides Kat, but Kat's always special to us, right? Navalist True Crime, by the way, has done amazing work in the search for Michael Vaughn. So has Kat, and he's really calling this out. Enough's enough. We are here to support this family. Why would you want to hurt the struggle that they are having to bring Monkey home? Why would you want to do that? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? So let's say hi to Kat, see how she's doing. Hello, Kat.
Hello, Brooks. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. We have the usual rainy, cold English weather. But apart from that, loving life.
Loving life. It's 75 degrees here.
Oh, nice.
Not a cloud in the sky, but yet my cat still complains because she doesn't have enough food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Figgy 709, not a true abduction. You will all be surprised. Well, what do you know that law enforcement doesn't know?
Right.
What do you know that law enforcement doesn't know?
Because that's quite concerning. If you do know something that law enforcement doesn't know, maybe you should go tell them what you know.
Mm-hmm. What do you know? I mean, we all need to know. I think the family needs to know, right?
Right.
Let's see what Navalis has to say. Hello, Navalis. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, folks. How's things? How are
Hey,
you keeping?
Navalis. It's really good to talk to you. How are
Super
you?
good.
My sound might be a small bit bad there. No, I'm just trying to switch on to the PC at the moment.
I
That's
can hear
okay.
you.
We're
Is it
patient.
okay? It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'd be worried about the StreamYard when you're using it through the phone, but it seems to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think I've used it through the phone one time. I was on someone else's panel.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone using
The
it all
rest
the
of the
time.
time, I always use my laptop. While you're getting that set up, Navalis, and by the way, thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to play a clip from News Nation. This is an FBI agent talking about the abduction. So, Figgy, I think you need to pay attention right now, okay? Figgy, I want you to pay attention and let us know what you know that they don't know. All right, so there's you got YouTube on.
I'm good now and switched over. That was me there jumping
That's
the
okay.
queue.
Oh, no, I got it. Echo. We got it fixed? Nope, because I hear myself. Can you hear me now, Navalis?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, it's small, but I just don't want to turn up because it must be coming through. Sorry, guys.
Are you on YouTube? Because if you've got YouTube open, there's going to be an echo.
I don't. I just have the streamer now. Is that better?
Yeah, I don't hear myself, and that's always a good thing. One of
Perfect.
me is more than enough. All right,
Me, 'cause I
so
was muted.
the right reasons. This clip is old, though. I totally understand that there has been no change. Has any law enforcement come out and said he wasn't abducted and that the parents are a person of interest?
Was that a question or did someone comment that?
No, I have a question because I don't know what's going on here. I have not heard any update that the parents are any kind of persons of interest.
No, all I've heard is conspiracy theories with no
What about you,
basis in
Navalis?
fact.
No, nothing at all. Just the opposite. And I know there were some crazies early on that were chasing Brandy around the town and away from the press conferences and stuff like that. But it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I don't know if you're even following the Delphi case and some of the stuff there. But
For
this morning,
years, it's insane.
come here. This morning, I was looking on Reddit and people being like, "I'm not saying her sister is involved, but," and then a list of stuff. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh wow.
I'm tired. Like it's just constantly going back, and I know we all have the big case with the Wells, but like lads, these things are different, you know.
Mhm.
And we're just going back and we're blaming victims, and it's giving all of us a bad name.
Right.
Not giving us a bad name, my friend, because we're sticking to the facts and we're supporting the family. Now, if somebody wants to come out, if LE comes out and they're like, hey, FBI was wrong, this is not an abduction, then we're going to say there's new evidence and we'll talk about that. I don't see that happening. It's been way too long. Crime and Justice said the parents are not considered suspects. They are cooperating with law enforcement. Even the FBI says Michael was abducted.
I think what happened was there was some conspiracy theories going round about Tyler, and then people jumped on those as if they were fact, but those never came from law enforcement. They came from Twitter trolls. So it was never said by law enforcement that Tyler was a suspect, but because it was all over Twitter, people assumed that that was the case, that he was a suspect, but he's not. He's been cleared, the same as Brandy's been cleared.
What is floating around I see the most is people saying he failed his polygraph. They would have known that in July,
right,
not in March.
Right. And if that had been an issue, then, you know, something would have happened about that by now. And also, I don't even know if that even came from law enforcement in the first place, or whether it was just something that was dreamt up on Twitter.
No, and this about how they were read their Miranda rights. Let me tell you, okay? If they read you your Miranda rights, they're getting ready to arrest you. They don't go, hey, just going to Mirandize you, then see how you're doing and send you home.
Right.
No, 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 no.
And
No.
neither of them have been arrested. And like someone just said, it was Crime and Justice just said, they're both cooperating fully with law enforcement. They're on full first name terms with them. They speak to them every single day. You know, it's not like they're evading justice or something, you know.
No,
They're
Brandy
fully
has mentioned
compliant.
many times how she calls the chief of police by his first name.
Right.
She talks to him quite often.
Exactly.
The clips are out there. What news media, not YouTube, what news media outlet has said he was read his Miranda rights and failed his polygraph?
Right. I'd like to know that too.
All
Because
right,
I've only seen that on Twitter.
let's look at this real quick, and I'm going to go through some comments. Hang on.
Case tonight, a 5-year-old from Idaho. His name is Michael Vaughn. He disappeared after walking out of his family's home in Idaho almost 5 months ago and has not been seen since. Police have said that it is increasingly possible that Michael was abducted, yet his disappearance at the time did not trigger an Amber Alert. I have a lot of questions about this case. I know you do as well. I'm going to bring in Jennifer Coffendoffer now. She's a former FBI agent. She's been closely following this case for the past couple of months. I'm going to spend a couple minutes with Jennifer asking my questions, and for you at home, all of you on social media who have been wanting to know about Michael's disappearance, you've got questions on your mind, you can send those questions to Twitter using the hashtag NewsNationPrime. And then after the next commercial break, we'll have your questions for Jennifer as well. Jennifer, as always, thank you. This case came to our attention in a fearful way. We saw this little boy's face, Monkey as his mom calls him, just vanished into thin air. I want to begin with what the mom said a moment ago in the piece. She said, I believe somebody may have been watching our family when my son disappeared. There was a white car in the area that police are looking into. There was a man in that drainage tunnel that was unfamiliar. And also you heard police say there's an increasing possibility that Michael was abducted. As an investigator with your years of experience, what stands out to you about this little boy and him vanishing?
Well, you perfectly laid out, Marnie, all the facts that I would have said. This little boy is 5 years old. He's not a runaway. He's not visiting a girlfriend. This little boy is gone and missing, last seen literally going door to door in his neighborhood, very vulnerable for being abducted. There was an unfamiliar car in the area, an unfamiliar man in the area, and there is no reason to suspect he is anything other than abducted.
Okay, so Jennifer, this is my question, but I have been following everybody on social media asking the very same thing about an Amber Alert. People want to know, why was an Amber Alert not issued? The Idaho State Police did send us some clarification on this case early on. They said with the information that was available in this case, we made the same notification as an Amber Alert. It's called EMPA. It's an emergency missing persons alert. But they said the state of Idaho follows national best and proven practices on endangered missing persons alert. So help us understand the decision by Idaho State Police or police in any matter when a child goes missing.
Well, essentially, the Amber Alert being the gold standard for being able to find missing and abducted and endangered children is kept very close to the vest in terms of being able to issue one. They are used very sparingly. About 7 out of 10 cases in terms of those that have been issued an alert are actually recovered. And 17% of the 7 out of 10 are actually directly attributable to that alert. So they don't want to desensitize that alert. It sticks out to anyone in law enforcement who is a part of receiving this alert because they know it means there's an endangered child. For all of the citizenry, when we receive that alert on our phone, we immediately take note of what the details are, and we're on the lookout. It truly is the way to find missing children. So sadly, in this case, because they didn't have enough information to say at that particular time that he was abducted, they instead went with an endangered missing person. Now, an endangered missing person in Idaho, the list has over 40 from ages 100, mostly middle-aged people who are missing. That does not rise to the level of this situation in terms of what we're looking at here in terms of the probability of abduction.
It just doesn't have the same urgency, right? You see an Amber Alert come across your phone, you immediately look at all the identifying factors. It doesn't have the same effect 5 months later either. Not being critical of the investigation, but from the parent standpoint, you want everything you can, right? You want all hands on deck. Jennifer, something else that Marky passed along to us. She did search registered sex offenders in Michael's neighborhood. The state database reveals 6 within a mile radius of his home. Would police automatically search those homes and question those individuals as part of their initial investigation?
Yes, I would have expected that to be the first thing done. There was one just doors down from him, really, blocks away. So that should have been immediately looked into. And I would suspect it has been looked into if it was done properly, which I have no reason to think that the Fruitland Police Department did not do a proper investigation.
And they still say this case is a priority. The search continues for Michael. Jennifer, stick around. We've got questions from our viewers coming up about this case and Michael's disappearance. And if you'd like to submit a question now.
Okay, so she explains the abduction and everything like that. Now, let me rephrase, okay? There have been many, many cases, way too many, where a child goes missing. They bring the parents in to question them, because normally the parents or someone close to them knows. They read them their Miranda rights in case they come across something and they have to arrest them that day. So I don't know what's going on here. People are making it sound like this just happened last week. So
Right.
What I'd encourage people to do as well, and I did it the other day in the live stream, because even when I first came across this case, I obviously didn't know anything about it. You start looking into it. And when you look at the timeline and the area, like what people are trying to get to and the area they're trying to get to is literally impossible. There's no time. It's
The
nonsense, some of the
timeline's
stuff that's
tight.
being talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's watertight. I mean, airtight.
Do you know, and trying to stretch it from 15 to a 21 minutes, like it's just, thank God it's not in an area where something like that could have happening, or if it was close to a road. They collected over 60 CCTV cameras from the housing area. Like
And they also have Tyler on camera every single move he made within that time frame.
Yeah.
After he found Michael was missing, all the way around the neighborhood, they have him on camera at every single point. I think what's happened is there was some kind of Twitter Spaces or something the other day, and Brandy was asked a lot of questions by a lot of people who knew nothing about what they were talking about. They call themselves amateur sleuths, I guess. And they recorded everything that she said and then basically took it out of context to post little snippets to make her look like she had something to hide, or, there was something that just happened. The fact is, these Miranda rights and all of this would have happened right back in July. And if she's talking about it in a Twitter space, it's been taken as this happened last week. That's
so
how it's come to this.
it seems like something has been taken out of context and we're running with a conspiracy theory, except for instead of what law enforcement has been saying. I've been going through tons of stuff, and they keep saying abduction. And like Navila said, and I want to talk more about this. I really want to drive this home. Let's look at the time. The time. 2 older siblings in the house. Michael walked out, got on his bike, and went to look for friends to play for. Tyler is still in the house tending to the baby, right?
Right. Right.
Orders pizza, realizes Michael isn't there.
Hmm.
The two siblings certainly never said anything that Tyler did anything to him.
Right.
And he would have to get all that done before his pizza arrives
Right.
in 10 minutes with no motive and no evidence. And even if that did happen, something like that, there's no way, like, what the search that the LE did, the assistants they called and they took everything they could get, and they were like, we'll keep taking it if anyone wants to support us. Like, they went through 60 miles of the riverbed with every type of equipment you can imagine. The place was turned upside down and inside out. He was
Yeah.
taken. He's not there. He's not anywhere there.
Hmm. Yeah, they covered like 3,500 acres of searching. There was no way you could have made it that far within a 15-minute time frame,
Because I
of
think
which
people,
everybody is accounted for within that time frame.
yeah, I think people maybe underestimate the search sometimes. You kind of just come across a case, you don't realize
Hmm.
the FBI and the car team are involved, and like people like, did they check the neighbours? Of course, they like those houses were turned upside down multiple times by multiple agencies.
And Melanie had a really good point. She was like, what an elaborate scheme that you get all these neighbors to say that they saw him.
Right. Right. I mean, this is this is not a situation where they live out in the middle of nowhere with no neighbours around or no, sightings. This child was seen by at least 3 different neighbours, and they've each given a specific time that they saw him and what they saw him doing. I mean, I listened to some of that Twitter spaces that people are talking about. It was ridiculous. I think I actually listened to it on Naval's channel, where the man asked her why the dog's scent stopped, why Michael's scent stopped. I mean, come on. Why are they asking people? Right, they're taking a meeting on Spaces. A man says to her, well, why did the dog's scent stop? How do they expecting people to answer these questions? And then they're recording this and putting it out like it's facts, because Brandy said the dog's scent stopped, so therefore that must be a fact. It just annoys me that people are taking things out of context in this case without fully looking into what the law enforcement have said. We can only take the facts as they're presented to us by law enforcement. Bottom line, they have a tight timeline. The law enforcement knows the timeline.
Is there any video of Tyler getting in the car driving off with Monkey? Him carrying Monkey? I mean, I've been
Nope.
reading about all the CCTV and everything they have,
Mhm.
and it doesn't seem to point in their direction, okay?
Not at all.
When Brandy was on McDonough, she was talking to the interview room, and she said to him, they know exactly where we were that day. They've gone through their phones. They've got the pings. They know that she went to the splash pad. Not Michael. Tyler was outside looking for him. I'm
Mhm.
sure you saw that interview, right, Navalis?
Yeah, I think Tyler is seen on the splash pad as well as 701.
Yeah,
Because he ran up
went to
there
look
after
there.
he searched around, and then he was on the phone to Brandy as he was walking back down away from it.
Mhm.
There's no time for anything or no locations to get out of there. I followed the dirt road. Like, you probably could hand a child over that road to another car or another person, but you're not going to be able to drive a car around there or anything like that.
Well, there's cameras on the entrance and exit, isn't there, of that road?
Yep.
There's only one road in and one road out, like the same road out. So it's
And
just
a lot of people now are saying that that's not true, that there's other roads in, but the other road is a dirt road that goes nowhere.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a road. It's a track. And even Brandy came out and said, "Look, would you like to come here and actually see it for yourself? I walk it with you, like I walked it with the FBI." These people think that they know what the time of day is, and they have not got a clue. And the majority of these people that I'm seeing on Twitter are talking about Brandy and Tyler like they know what they're talking about, have not got a clue.
It was the women who were talking to her in the other clip. I
Mhm.
couldn't believe when I was listening to it, just how they were barking at her when she came up and she's desperate for help as well.
Right.
And she is looking for the help, and you can see her putting things aside, but my heart broke. She was just on her own in this Twitter space, and it was like
Yeah.
3-4 people taking turns of having a pop at her, telling them how
And then
intelligent they are.
recording it and clipping it and putting out clips of it like
Yeah.
that's the gospel truth, where you haven't heard the previous conversation, you haven't heard the context of what they were
Yeah.
talking about.
I
You
think
know, it's just
the clips came from a separate kind of conversation that Brandy was having with a Crystal girl who was part of a support group, but then Crystal got caught out lying about some other stuff.
mhm.
Then she said she didn't lie about it, but then she said when people thought she lied about it, she started lying about it. She just sounds like an absolute idiot. So she had all these recordings, and then she gave them to the Twitter sleuths, and they're cutting them up.
Right, and
Um,
it just makes a shit show of it. Sorry to use bad
Yeah.
language, but it makes a shit show of it because Brandy and Tyler have been through all of this with the authorities. The authorities know exactly what happened, where they were that day, what time everything happened, where Michael was seen, where the dog scent stopped, all of this kind of stuff. And these people are tearing it up and going, well, we don't care what the FBI says. We're just going to make up some shit about Brandy being a terrorist or, some
I was
ridiculous
thinking,
stuff.
I was wondering why during the week. Is it because the alternative is just too boring, or they're not creative enough, or?
Well, I don't know. Who knows why conspiracy theorists come up with this
But you're like,
stuff,
out of all the cases, to try and dive into
Right.
one area and just keep trying to go and nudge
And
back
undermine
in
it.
there, like.
Undermine the investigation at the end of the day, because that's what they're doing. They're saying, well, we don't really believe in the whole FBI thing, so we're just going to create our own investigation and put 2 and 2 together and come up with 12.
Yeah. And
Well,
my fear is it will stop people sharing his poster in his face. If someone
Right.
jumps into this case for 2 seconds and thinks for some reason the parents are involved, that
Mhm.
will stop them sharing something on social media that
Right.
could bring them home.
Well, and what I can't get over is everyone is okay in the Summer Wells case with the FBI card unit saying
Right.
there's no sign of abduction. But in this
Mhm.
case, they won't accept them saying there's signs of an abduction.
Right.
They're so
Funny, quite
focused
interesting
on
that
they're so
some of the
focused on Tyler not talking. You think maybe he's beyond distraught?
Mhm.
I think about John Walsh's wife. I mean, I think about a lot of cases like JC Dugard. Her stepdad never spoke out because he was the one at home when she was abducted.
Yeah.
I think about several cases, and I want to go to this comment real quick because I don't know, but it gives me the Sean Hornbeck feeling, if you know what I mean. I wonder who the pizza guy gal is if the pizza delivery driver was cleared. Anyone know?
Do we know if the actual pizza made it to the house? Not that I think it's relevant or important necessarily, but do we know if the pizza actually ever arrived?
I think it did, yeah. I think one of the other siblings got it, but it wasn't ate or anything that night.
No.
Muffin Top said at Brooks, I just wonder why Michael was going door to door, looking for kids to play with. I mean, I know a lot of people have put out there because there was problems at home and he was trying to get away from home or whatever. No, he was just looking for kids to play with.
Yeah. And all the neighbours said the same thing. All the neighbours that he knocked on their door or spoke to him said that he was looking for other children to play with. So he knocked on their door, and one of them said, the first neighbour was like, you have to really go and ask your parents if you can, come over. And they watched him walk back to the house at that point. So like he obviously went there to knock and ask to play with their children.
Coffee Cup said in the snow. No, it was summertime. And we're advocating for Monkey here until they say, look, there's no abduction, not going down that alley, just not doing it. It doesn't help anything.
It
If they
doesn't help.
come
In
out,
fact, it hurts.
it does hurt. If they come out and they say, look, there was no abduction. We got to go a different way with this investigation. I'm going to be like, well, now we have something different going on here. What do you think, Navalis?
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of. Even last night, I was the same people who are jumping all over Candice Wells can pass a lie detector test and ignore them. They don't work. They're useless because they're telling us she passed. And they're like, oh my god, look at this. Look at Tyler. And even if that is the case, he's the perfect type to not pass it, given that he feels so much guilt and he's broken over it.
He is. He's got to be distraught. And then my question is, if they believe that the parents are involved, why do they still have 3 children with them? This didn't just happen yesterday. This is March. He
Yeah.
was abducted in July. Why
Mhm.
has the Child Protective Services in Idaho left 3 children in their care if they're under suspicion for the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
This is when logic starts to fall apart, because people can tell you what they heard on a clip from a Twitter space and tell you what came out of the words that came out of the mouth, but they can't tell you how that works with the story or the narrative or the facts even of what happened that day. They just can't tell you because they can't. It's logic. It just falls apart
Yeah.
at this point.
The minute you go back to the time and the timeline and
Right.
something like that could happen, it's not there. Like, didn't happen.
Yeah. They struggle to process the end of the thought.
Yeah.
Well, if that happened then how does that work out with this? They can't go to the end of the thought. They just parrot what they heard come out of someone's mouth without trying to even figure out the context, let alone how that plays into the logic and, what is actually happened in this case.
Yeah. And I'd encourage anyone who's not aware to go onto the map of the area, look
Mhm.
at it, look at the road, look at the school district across the way. There's a park in Monkey's housing, not estate, what development. I'm getting given out on my channel over not using the American terms for estates
It's
and
okay, I do the
neighborhoods.
same thing nevertheless.
There's a park at the top of the housing estate that has a splash pad that had photographs of wet kids uploaded in just days before he was taken. Like, this is a prime area to
Mhm.
attract an abductor into it. And it
Mhm.
was just like, it's if you look at it, you'll see it, but unfortunately people don't want to look. They just want to read a bit of gossip and drama.
Right. And I mean, I've sat through, or in fact, I've got most of them recorded on my channel, all of the interviews that Brandy's ever done with News Nation now, and other local media outlets to her. And she is broken in every single one of those news clips. She is a broken woman.
Mhm.
I never, ever, it never even crossed my mind that she was involved with it, because she's done, I'm not saying how anyone should react in a situation like this, but everything you think a grieving missing child's parent should do, Brandy has nailed it every single time. Every single time. And there's no way that she acted that way. These are true heartbreaking interviews. I mean, literally did not sit through one of them without crying my heart out for her, for Monkey, for her other kids, for her husband. There's it. I just don't know how people can sit there and say, well, Brandy said blah, 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 without going back and watching all of that stuff that's happened since the beginning of this, putting it all into context, and then ask yourself whether what you heard on Twitter was correct or factual or logical even,
Solving crimes on Twitter. Annie, she gives me Susan Smith vibes. If you're talking about Brandy, Brandy would do anything to bring her son home, and she was at work. That's proven. If you're
Yep.
talking about Candace, I get it.
I mean, there's polar opposites, really. I hate to bring the two cases into it, but it is polar opposites. And interesting, I don't know who it was. Someone made quite an astute observation the other day, and I think Navilis kind of alluded to it a minute ago, that this kind of the same people that are, bigging up how innocent Candace is and Don are the same people calling Brandy a liar, and just blows my mind.
There
Blows my
are
mind.
actually many parents. There's 2 things in cases I don't care about. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I don't care about them.
Mhm.
Polygraphs, I don't put a lot
Mhm.
into, and
Right.
rewards, because the
Mhm.
person with the information that can collect the reward isn't going to come forward.
Mhm.
Polygraphs are failed often by innocent people.
Right.
Polygraphs are passed by guilty people. Okay, it's a
Right.
good gauging tool. All right, we have the Wells who have guilt written all over them, and they keep saying that they passed the polygraph. I don't believe that, because it's never officially been announced. I think when Ronnie Lawson was asked, they said they passed a polygraph. He shook his head and he said, yes, they did. I think what he was
Mhm.
doing was being rhetorical, saying, yes, they said that, not yes, they passed it.
Right.
Nicole, has Brandy ever been on this channel for panel? Nope, I wish she would. She's at work
She's been
during
in
the
chat.
day. She's at work during the day. She catches up with us later. If I have to move it till, later in the evening for her, I would do it in a heartbeat. No problem. No problem at all. So with some of the people that want Don and Candace to be innocent, want Tyler and Brandy to be guilty. Navalis, can you
Right.
weigh in on that?
Guys, I don't know. I was thinking during the week, I don't know, is it just how this side of the true crime community is kind of new to me. Like I was saying, the people who were kind of coming at Libby this morning, in the Delphi stuff, and this, I wonder, is it just the fact that you can be so polarized over in these states, and you'll suddenly see someone with one opinion, and you're just going to desperately try to find the opposite, because it makes no sense to me if these people look at the facts and just look at what happened. I have no idea.
In my opinion, I think what's happened for me and the experience that I've had in the true crime community is that a few parents who have done things to their children have given the other parents a bad name in some way. So people automatically jump to the worst case scenario, which would be fine if like, for example, 9 months after Summer went missing, Don and Candace are still considered to be persons of interest or suspects, everything's still on the table. But in Brandy and Tyler's case, the first in any abduction case, in any child abduction case, the first people that the law enforcement want to clear is the parents. And they want to clear the parents so they can get on with investigating what happened. So if they say that this is an abduction case, which they have said on many occasions, then they are not considering the parents as suspects or persons of interest, because they're looking for an abductor, someone that has taken Monkey away from the house that is not related to them, has nothing to do with them, a random abduction. They have a vehicle and they have a description of a person, by the way, that's not related to them. But I think because people have heard Don and Candace, or, Harmony Montgomery's parents or Oakley Colson's parents, and all these parents have almost given people a bias towards, well, the parents must have done it. And then from that point, they can't backtrack and say, well, what about if they didn't do it? What does that open up? They get like a one-track focused mind. Well, it must be the parents because the child's gone missing.
Yeah.
It's
Cleo
very
Smith.
unfair.
The Cleo Smith case is a good example.
Right.
I was looking at that a few weeks ago, even in a live chat, just comparing kind of two innocent people and two people who weren't innocent. And even in that chat, people were saying that Cleo Smith's dad was involved. It was like, do you not realize this is over and done with? Like, because he was quiet and because the mother was kind of taking the lead and he was mumbling a bit, people are like, no, I still think he had something got to do with it. Just absolute nuts.
There are still people that consider Madeleine McCann's parents guilty, even though all of these years later, they now believe that they have a suspect that abducted her. Now, okay, it's never been proven. And obviously they were suspects in Portugal for a while in the case, because the way that Portuguese justice system works is they make people arguido, which means suspect. Then they investigate them, and then they were released from being arguido because they were no longer suspects, and they were never prosecuted. But even all these years later, there's still people saying that Madeleine McCann's parents were involved, and they pretty much think that they've got this case solved. They just need to now prove it in Germany. So I guess it's like that focus that people get, that it's like a dog with a bone. They just can't let it go and think about other possibilities or other angles or other perspectives. It kind of seems like a bit of a mob mentality, especially when it comes to Brandy and Tyler. I mean, I've seen nothing from Brandy but a committed, loving, devoted, hardworking, caring, empathic mother. And yet people are tearing her to shreds on Twitter. And I'm like, why? The only reason I can think is because people have jumped to conclusions based off minutiae that they've heard and not looked at properly, and formed an opinion that has no basis in fact or actual,
logic.
In truth. Right, in logic.
Hang on a second. Angel, I clearly know what and who this show is about. It was a comparison. You did nothing wrong, Angel. I compare cases all the time. You did nothing wrong. Don't be... You're good, Angel. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. We have an open chat and open discussion. So if
Right.
there's something you know, please share it with us. Everything I have read, everything I have heard, this is being based around an abduction. The FBI card unit has not ever said it's not an abduction. There's many, many other cases where they clear abduction off the table very early on. Very early on. Cody Bigsby is one. Serenity McKinney is one. Harmony Montgomery is one. Oakley Carlson is one. Summer Wells is one. This one, they're saying abduction.
And even the last press conference, they said the chances of the abduction are increased again. Like they're not going to come out and say 100% anything unless they know. But usually it's a couple of months after that might come down. But they're saying because of the searches, because the search was so thorough, that it is. Well, they're not saying 100% is, but they're like the chances have yet again increased.
Yeah, that's true. I heard that too.
And
there's a question in chat.
Put in chat, what are their actions that are telling you guys they're involved? She was at work. He was home taking care of the children. CCTV, ring doorbells, a massive search party, massive. So what are you guys getting that I'm not? Nicole, you said something and I missed it. I apologize.
And there's a question in the chat that I just wanted to speak about, Brooks, if that's okay.
Go ahead, babe.
Slim Hauser said, has the suspicious dude in the drain ditch near the splash pad been cleared? No, he hasn't been cleared, and he hasn't even been identified as yet. He's still a person that they want to identify and speak to, but he hasn't been cleared and he hasn't been identified.
And with
neither has the driver of the Honda Pilot, by the way, either.
The thing with the Honda Pilot, though, the last update on that, excuse me, because I was making the posters and I was reached out to Brandy just to ask about the Honda Pilot, and they haven't come out and said what happened. They haven't said they found a driver. They haven't said they haven't found a driver. But
okay, so it's unconfirmed.
They dropped it from the last press release, so it's not a priority for them.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you, nevertheless.
Yeah. So I thought they'd come out and say, I don't know, did they find them and are still following up, or did they find them and rule them out? But I think they don't want people to put emphasis on the Honda Pilot anymore.
Right.
And
so
I know
maybe
that
they know something that we don't about it.
Yeah, and I think that was a thing. That was a tactic by the LE to do that and to not come out and put it in the press release.
Right. Which is the same in all of the cases. Every single one of the cases, the law enforcement has information that they don't release to the public. And sometimes people have a really hard time with that because they're like, well, I haven't heard it from law enforcement, so it must not be true. But actually, maybe law enforcement just aren't putting out that piece of information for a tactical and strategic reason.
Yeah, I know these people, because I reached out to Brandy and kind of asked about it without asking. All I said was, look, will I put more valuable information on the poster by taking the Honda Pilot out and putting in his clothes? And she was like, yeah, it's not a priority kind of at the moment without saying any update. But one of the snippets then that they released was a clipped up call of Brandy talking about that, being like, I don't know why they didn't release it. You know, she doesn't, because that's a tactic by the LE. And now these people have outed that tactic.
And for the person that just asked, where's the source of the ring doorbells and all of that kind of stuff, you need to go back and watch these press conferences, because this information is coming from law enforcement, not from Twitter. These are not people that have said, oh, they checked my ring doorbell cameras. They say in the press conferences how many cameras they've checked, how much information they've got, how many people they've spoken to, how many paedophiles they've cleared. All of this information is in the press releases, the press conferences, which are run majoritively by law enforcement.
I challenge someone, even the people saying that, like, tell me how it happened, because it's impossible. Like, where's the time? There's no time. There's no way.
Where is the time? They have given us the times. You couldn't have possibly done this in that time.
Right.
I've replayed the clips many, many times. I'm going to put a show together and we're going to go through all of them together again. I normally already do it, but I kind of figured everybody was up to speed until Twitter got involved. Nicole said, see, at Brooks, she's saying that, but Brandy herself is saying otherwise. So if Brandy is saying that they got Mirandized, well, I'm sure they did, because when you question someone in a crime, and if a child is missing, it's a crime. Okay? It's a crime. I mean, unless they wandered off and got hurt on their own. If she's saying he failed a polygraph, again, lots of innocent people fail him. Elizabeth Smart's uncle failed his.
Hmm.
He failed his polygraph.
And he wasn't involved.
And he was not involved.
And Tyler does feel guilt, huge guilt for this.
I can totally understand that. I mean, I can't entirely empathize because I don't have children, but all I can think is, imagine you were in a situation where you were the person that was responsible for looking after your child, and while you were changing your other child, this child goes missing. Of course you're going to feel guilt about that. It's not guilt that means you did anything. It's just guilt that means that you took your eye off the ball for, like Brooks has said before, what parent doesn't do that? At some point, take their eyes off their child for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It happens, Every parent does it.
Okay, right there from Lisa. CMVT said detectives are asking for the public's help in identifying multiple people and vehicles seen on camera.
Okay. And also, they're asking for the public's help in looking around their own neighbourhoods to see if they recognise any children, or see any children that don't seem to fit within families or don't appear to have been there for very long. Or, they're asking for the public's help to look around themselves, look around their own neighbourhoods, their own, backyards. They've been asking that since day one, and they're still asking that, which goes to prove to me that they're not looking for Brandy and Tyler. They know where Brandy and Tyler are. They've got them every single day on the phone, ringing them up, asking them how the investigation's progressing. They're looking for a stranger in a stranger abduction case.
And guilty parents, I'm going to say this about Brandy. Brandy has been extremely involved.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely involved. She is not cooperating with law enforcement. She is asking for more help. And I do not believe this woman for a minute would have Tyler there if she believed he is responsible for Monkey's disappearance. I just don't.
Oh, hell no.
And
I don't
the
either.
3 other minor children would not be left in the house.
Right.
The state of Idaho, if you look at their statistics of removing children, it's pretty high. They don't mess around. Crime and justice, you're right. Polygraphs are not 100%, and that's why they're not allowed in court. They're not.
There's many reasons why people can fail a lie detector test anyway. It doesn't have to be because they're drunk or high. It could just be because of how they feel about something inside. They're not entirely accurate, which is why.
An anxious person is always more likely to fail them, especially if you're anxious and feel some guilt towards something happening.
And we don't actually know that for a fact anyway.
Yeah.
We don't know that he failed a lie detector test. This is gossip from Twitter. We don't even know that that's the truth,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised though.
Well, it's speculation, isn't it? It's like, we can sit here and say, well, what if he did fail a lie detector test? But what if he didn't? What if that's just gossip from Twitter that's never been confirmed? Like,
Brandy did say it in a pre-interview with Chris McDonough. I heard a clip of it. So it would have been the first one, and then the second one, they said, they didn't even tell him. They were just like, we're never going to ask you to do this again.
Hang on, Moxie, I understand. Brandy said he failed. What we're saying is polygraphs are not 100%. Many innocent people have failed them. I just mentioned Elizabeth Smart's uncle. He obviously did not kidnap her. I can give you more examples of people who have failed a polygraph and were never involved in the crime.
Right. It
Go
doesn't
ahead,
necessarily.
Sorry, Kat.
was going to say, it doesn't necessarily equal guilt just because you didn't pass the polygraph test. The two things are not mutually exclusive. You failed a polygraph test, therefore you must be guilty, which is kind of how it's being taken out of context, because people are assuming, well, if you fail a polygraph, then, well, you must have kidnapped him, you know?
Mhm.
It's just not a logical conclusion to that statement that he failed a polygraph, in my opinion.
Moxie, I'm responding. Okay. I see what you're saying now. No, I see what you're saying. Brandy said it. I get it. You guys are, I know that's what she said. What I'm saying is we don't put all our eggs in one basket with any of these cases. Okay.
Right.
You can't possibly, especially when there's a third element in this. Okay. Did he wander off or have an accident? Are the parents involved? It looks like those two, they've taken those cards off the table. The third element is an abduction. That's what they're looking at. When the FBI comes out and says, oops, we were wrong. No way he was kidnapped. So we're going back to square one and going to figure out exactly what was going on.
Right.
That it doesn't help this little boy to sit there and say something happened that didn't happen. I don't get it. Go ahead,
Okay.
Nablus. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I can't even remember what I was going to say. No, I was just listening. But like I seen a comment there saying Tyler feels responsible. If I was in his situation, and I'd feel exactly the same way.
Mhm.
If I was going down to a polygraph, I'd feel responsible. I'd feel guilt. I'd be an anxious, nervous wreck. Because no matter how many times people tell you, and Brandy's telling him all the time, it's not your fault, he's going to feel that it is.
Doesn't mean that he's guilty of actually doing anything to Michael, though.
Yeah, and it's just been dragged. I seen another comment during the week. Oh, I know someone that one of Tyler's friends sells weed. I was like, big deal.
Oh, wow.
Is that what we're going down? Like, I could pull up my phone there and get you 6-7 people or my phone book that probably sell weed, you know? Just nonsense. And that's the things that people are reaching for.
Right.
Again,
It's
they're not
reaching.
looking at
That's
the
all it
timeline.
is.
They're not looking at how this could possibly happen and Michael not be found, given that the search that they did. And because of that, because they're married to that idea, they just keep nudging at, what about this neighbour? What about the Ring doorbell? What about that? What about the dirt
And they'll
road?
find anything that will confirm their theory as well.
Yeah.
So if there's 3 people on Twitter saying the same thing as them, then they must be right.
Yeah. One of
And
them
then you
said,
question it.
one of them found a big discrepancy because Tyler didn't call for the pizza, as was said in one news interview. He ordered it on his phone through the app. I was like, is that what you got?
Oh,
Is that it?
That's what I do. I use DoorDash. A lot
I'm the
of
same. I can't remember the last time I called for a pizza. I don't want to talk to anyone on the phone anymore for that.
right. I'm the same.
But it still
I
doesn't
very
change
very
what he did
rarely
at that time,
use
you
the
know?
phone. I pay my bills online or it comes out automatically. I order food. It's through DoorDash. I use an app. Why is this a big surprise?
hmm
Because
And
I
why
think they're
does
just looking for anything.
any
And they,
discrepancy that they can dig their theory into and, you know, get someone to agree with them, and then all of a sudden they're like super sleuth extraordinaire, solve the Michael Vaughn case, let's, you know, go slam Brandy and Tyler some more, you know?
yeah. And like putting timelines together and digging into it can be great on cases, especially cases that weren't really looked at hard or don't have an
Yeah.
FBI team or a car team looking at it. But
Or
in
where
this
there is
case,
more
yeah,
stuff to actually uncover. But when you're just uncovering another conspiracy theory, it's kind of like, you know, stop digging because it's not going anywhere. You don't actually start looking at the facts in the case, you're going to get lost straight away.
yeah.
Hang on one second. Jeep Girl said, you need to look at the bigger picture. I have looked and looked and looked. Here's the thing. Until the FBI says it's not an abduction, then I'm not going to sit here and single out these parents.
Right.
I'm just not.
Why
Can
would you?
someone help me here?
I mean, why would you? That's the thing. Why would you single out the parents when the law enforcement have said it's an abduction case? The FBI card team have said they believe it's an abduction case. Why would you then go for the parents? Because you missed the bigger picture by doing that. You're not looking at the bigger picture by going for the parents. You're looking at a minutia detail that you heard on a Twitter space that you want to focus on and try and reach for anything else. It's not looking at the bigger picture. It's looking at the tiny little piece of a jigsaw.
Well, and let me tell you this. When I first heard about the case, okay, I hadn't read very much on it or anything, okay? I hear mom's at work, dad's at home. And I'm like, uh-oh, something happened there. The parents are always involved or someone around the family. Someone around the family. Okay, so when law enforcement is saying the most recent, I think I can't remember the date now. This is most likely an abduction. Why can't they rule out abduction? That's normally one of the first things they do is they rule out abduction.
Ruled out the parents. If they could rule out the parents, they could focus on what else there is. And once they've done that, if they say it's an abduction, then it's an abduction. Like, I don't get why you would then go back to focusing on the parents when they've already been ruled out.
How can Tyler be in two places at once? Can someone explain that to me? How can Brandy be at work? Neighbors see Monkey. Tyler in the house. Tyler comes out to find him, yet the parents are guilty. I mean, I don't consider myself the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm going to need help with this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one can tell you. There's no one coming up with any scenario or anything like that because it doesn't fit. They can't fit anything in the time.
It's the logical process. If you work it to the end of the thought process, it doesn't work. So you have to go back to the abduction theory because nothing else works. And the FBI know this. The FBI know this. We're not doing the FBI's job for them here. They're actually quite highly trained people from what I know. You know, I think they might have done a bit of training to be in the FBI. What do you think, Brooks?
A tad bit.
Yeah,
And they don't
just a
like
little
any
bit.
more work than what they really need. And so they're not going to say, we're just going to keep going with abduction and spinning our wheels. We have nothing else to do.
Right.
And Deborah, you're right. She said, if memory serves me right, Elizabeth Smart's mother didn't give press conferences either. She would just stand there by Ed. Yeah, and it happens in a lot of cases. But some people are going to pick apart, because what this case does not have for them is what other cases have, which is a lot of loopholes, rabbit holes, a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm. Which is one of the reasons why his case is not as high profile as some of the other cases. People ask me that all the time. You know, why doesn't Monkey get enough coverage? Why doesn't Monkey get enough coverage? Well, you know, part of the reason for that is because his parents are not complete liabilities in their behaviors and their actions and causing a lot of drama on YouTube, you know? That's one of the reasons. And there's a reason that they're not doing that, and that's because they're innocent people. They don't have to act like complete lunatics to try and cover up their story.
And Tyler doesn't owe anyone anything who's at home.
Right.
Do you know the way people think that, he needs to go out and talk, Brandy's protecting him. He doesn't owe anyone anything. Like, he's talking to the FBI. He's talking to the LA.
That's who he needs to be talking to,
Yeah.
not to us. And she would never protect someone who would be responsible for the disappearance of her son. She would not be protecting him. And you know who else wouldn't be protecting him? Child Protective Services of Idaho. No. They wouldn't care about her feelings. The kids would be gone. They would not leave them with 3 children.
Right. I agree. I think you got that spot on, Navalis. At the end of the day, they're not worried about Brandy and Tyler. If they were, they would be hauling them over the coals every single day. But instead, Brandy especially is proactive in her responses and her searching. Tyler is just as proactive. It's just that he does it directly with the FBI rather than come out on Twitter spaces and talk, you know. I'm not criticizing Brandy for that, but there's a lot of parents in these cases who kind of overuse the social media platforms to talk mostly about themselves and do themselves no favours, you know, if when they should be talking to the, I would say TBI, but then you know what case I'm talking about, and the FBI themselves, rather than talking on YouTube. You know, we're not detectives, we're not investigators, we're people with YouTube platforms who can only really give the facts and talk about the cases as the law enforcement puts it to us, you know. Otherwise, it's just creating drama. It's not proactive and it's not helping the victims of the case.
It's not salacious enough for some people, so they're going to make it
Right.
that way. And I haven't heard anything different. Navalis, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
It's going to be impossible to answer, but at least you can put your thoughts into it.
I'll try.
Why is it we have so many people with parents that have, it's been said, talking about Summer Wells, okay, so I am comparing cases, all right? You have so many people that are supporting the parents. You have a very angry sheriff saying everyone's still a suspect, they're not cooperating. So you have, here we have this case. You have a mother pleading for the return of her son, a father that possibly, I'm assuming, is way too broken to talk to anyone, and also doesn't want to get ripped to shreds because he knows he was the last, he was the responsible adult that day. I don't believe it's his fault by any means. This is an abductor. So explain to me the difference.
The difference in the people or the Ellie?
Just the people.
I think it's I think it's the family unit that people are seeing. Like we had Brandy on a chat on Twitter Spaces, and people were asking, "Oh, can I donate to pay for the flyers myself?" Brandy's like, "No, I'll look after that. I'll send the flyers to you. You can donate that." She didn't even give Monkey's Reward Fund. She gave a different missing and overall. I can't remember the name of the charity, but there was someone in my comments telling me when she heard Brandy say that charity, she started roaring, crying herself because it's related to abusing kids, whereas I'm missing kids. Whereas in the well situation, I was watching a stream last week and the mother was on it, and they took down the missing information from Summer and put up a cash app. So, like, all I can see is one mother looking for her child, and another mother who's not. I can't remember the last time I've heard Candice ask to share a poster on Summer or to check a neighbour's yard or saying that she's alive and to keep looking for her and
Never.
clinging on to that hope. Whereas that hope is what's driving Brandy and Tyler forward.
Mm-hmm.
They've never given up hope of finding Monkey.
Never. When I heard Brandy talking to McDonough, and he was talking about, I think he said, if Monkey comes home, and she corrected him and she said, when?
Yeah.
She was broken. She was trembling. She was trying not to totally break down. But hey, you know, I don't know, guys.
She was in my chat and we were looking back over some of the interviews, and there was a neighbour interviewed who referred to Monkey in the past tense. And she said she lost her mind when she seen that interview at the time.
Yeah.
The fact that he was being referred to in the past tense, and then you're looking in the other case and that's all they can do is refer to somewhere in the past tense.
Nicole says, Brooks, did you hear the pre-interview conversation with Chris McDonough? I did not. Navalis, you did. Can you fill me in on it?
It's just Brandy being I only heard the clip because that's all that people are putting out. Do you know, that's all they want. The clip from Brandy is just being completely open and honest with Chris, looking for help. He's asking about Tyler. She said he's failed the first polygraph, and when he did the second one, they said, we're never going to ask you to do this again. So I don't know the result of the second one. I don't know, does it matter? I don't think it matters. Chris doesn't think it's matters. He was talking, I think, to the Ellie after that as well, after he was talking to Brandy and before he had her on the show. But again, that's just something chopped up because they want to run with the Tyler story, and I think maybe people knew that a week or two ago, and then they thought they had this big inside information, and then they start looking for all the other stuff to kind of start dragging them out with. But like, who cares? Do you know? No one cares. Even Chris himself said he interviewed many people who passed lie detector tests and did it, and others who failed and didn't. He puts no
Mhm.
weight in it either. And look, I take, there's some things that he does that I disagree with, but he knows better than all of us here. He's worked it, you know.
And if he's
Right.
saying abduction,
Yeah.
because trust me, if he thought that they were up to something, he'd call it out. You know he
Mhm.
would.
He's
Yep.
done it with other people.
Hmm.
Nicole also made another comment in chat. I wondered if you wanted to address it, Brooks. It says, you've been threatened by a lawyer, Brooks, correct? And told other creators they will be as well.
No, I had a conversation with another creator last week. I asked what in the world was going on, and it came back to this Twitter thing.
Mhm.
Basically, I explained that if this family feels harassed, if they feel like they can't go to work, can't go on with their daily lives because of rumors, slander, speculation, and basically things being made up, they can get lawyers.
Mhm.
I have had to contact a lawyer before.
Yeah. I think, personally, if it was me, I'd be calling a lawyer.
And Lone Wolf, you are right. You are right. Everyone is blaming the parents, just like the Ben Owensby family and Sean Hornbeck family.
Mhm.
Those people could never get out of the shadow of suspicion, and it turned out that it was a pizza delivery guy that had kidnapped both of the boys.
Right.
And that was absolutely sick.
And those people, like those parents, they never got apologies or, people trying to sort of say, well, I'm sorry I blamed you, or I'm sorry we didn't help look because we blamed you. That's the problem. These people get tarnished for life when they're innocent people, and that's not okay. How would anyone feel if that was them in that situation and you were doing everything within your power to put yourself out there to find your missing child because your child had gone missing and it wasn't your fault, and everybody turned on you and said, well, it's your fault, it's your child. I mean, just how callous is that? Like, can anyone imagine the impact that has on a family that are innocent of any involvement in the disappearance of their child?
Mhm.
And the impact that it has on the child, because like Nabila said earlier, people aren't going to look for a child that they think was hurt by a parent, really. Not like they're going to look for an abducted child. If you get a tainted mind about the parents that have, to all intents and purposes, been cleared by law enforcement because law enforcement have said this is an abduction case, then you're looking in the wrong place for the child. You're not helping the
That's what
search.
bothers me the most. I'm
Right.
serious. They have not. We keep hearing abduction, abduction, abduction.
Mhm.
Okay. But if you want to turn it back on the parents, that's not helping Monkey. This is about
Exactly.
Monkey. This isn't about Tyler and Brandy. Okay.
Right.
Yes, I do support them. I do support them. And I think everyone should always keep an open mind and stay unbiased. I do. Okay. But we just can't keep throwing stuff at the wall hoping something sticks.
Right.
We also, in social media and on our platforms, cannot say, look at the parents, look at the parents, look at the parents. Nothing we can do with the parents. That would be Ellie's job. But if there
Right.
is an abduction, which is what they're saying, that's where we need to be looking.
Mhm.
Again, I'm bringing up Sean Hornbeck.
Mhm.
People were after these parents, after these parents, after these parents. They find the two children alive. Okay.
Yeah.
And these people all go away. It's as if none of
Mhm.
this ever happened.
Right.
It
But
happens
for
in
them,
every case. It happens in every case. They do this, they do this, they do this, they do this. Then there's a big revelation by law enforcement. All the arrest affidavits and everything come out. All these people go back in the woodwork. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to
right.
hear the truth. They want to tune in to Days of Our Lives at noon on Channel 2. That's what they want. We can't
Mhm.
give them that because this is real life. You go, Navalis.
Right.
I'm just thinking about Brian Laundrie and after they found his body and all the bones that they found. And even now, we probably still have people being like, he faked his death. He had an
Right.
uncle who was a dentist. It was like, come on, do you know? They just got so caught up in idea and they just can't let it go.
Mhm.
And probably even like Cleo, like they have Cleo. They found the guy who took her,
Mhm.
and still people are blaming her dad. They just
Yeah.
refuse to let go.
But guess who that hurts at the end of the day? Obviously, it hurts the innocent parents or the innocent people that weren't involved, that got blamed for being involved. But it hurts the kid or the victim, because the victim's then missing for longer than they possibly need to be, because people's eyes are in the wrong place for the victim. If
Yeah.
people are looking at the parents, they're not looking for Michael. They're looking at destroying the parents. If they're actually using their eyes to look around them and see if they can see Michael, then that might be a better use of their time than trying to destroy the investigation for Michael's sake.
Yeah. And Brandy got a few nasty comments on my channel, and when I seen them, I couldn't believe it. And before I seen them, she actually went back in and responded. But like, I get rid of all those comments now, and I hide the users from commenting in future. But like, I was thinking then, my channel, something I created, probably caused Brandy to get this notification when she was going about her day, trying to look after the rest of her kids, trying to walk around and put up posters every time,
Right.
every second she can. And she gets a notification on her phone with this nasty comment. Imagine that constantly throughout the day, you know?
Yeah. It breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart, because I've seen Brandy broken. I've seen her interviews. I've seen her talking. I've seen the way she is. I know that this is a broken woman who, at the very least, all she asks for is prayers. She doesn't ask people to go out with her, putting up billboards, walking around doing all the things that she does in her life. She doesn't even ask for that. She asks for prayers. She asked for people to keep their eyes open for her son. So what did she ever do to you people? What did she ever do that was so bad that you feel the need to treat her like this? And ultimately, what did Michael ever do?
And they're going through hell as is. It's like 16 to
Exactly.
20% of parents who lose a child, even if they died in an accident or something, like they'll end up splitting up. They'll end up divorcing down the road, because it's just something that's so difficult to get over, so hard not to, in some way, subconsciously kind of blame each other kind of for stuff like that. Like, and then we're all adding to this then, you know?
Yeah.
It happens in many, many, many cases. John Walsh has talked about the struggles he had in his marriage. They got it back together. And, also to keep in mind, there's 3 other children at home with Tyler and Brandy, have not been taken from CPS, has not taken them. Okay. Have not taken them. And they need to be taken into consideration too. They are missing their brother and watching their parents go through the ultimate hell.
Yeah. Yeah, they will suffer too, because of what's going on and the way that Brandy and Tyler are being treated. The other children will suffer too. It's not exclusively just Brandy and Tyler that are going through hell here.
And even Brandy was saying, when she's looking at the kids, and if they're having fun or smiling, and she smiles for a second, then suddenly she's riddled with guilt, because she feels, because Monkey's not there, he's not with them. Like,
well, the truth is going to come out. The truth is going to come out. I don't see this going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately, because abductions don't. They don't. They take a long, long time, because it's the unknown.
Yeah.
It is the unknown.
Yeah,
I
and
do know
unless
that
there's like a slip up by the abductor, or some kind of sighting or something like that, it's going to be really hard to actually find out what the end result is of this. But all we can do is support. As far as I'm concerned, right, I'll just speak from my own perspective. All I intend to do in this case is hold up Brandy and Tyler as much as possible, promote Monkey and put his face out there, put his story out there, put his name out there, and hold up the 2 people that are fighting the hardest for him. That's what I intend to do, because sometimes when people are going through the most worst tragedies in life, they need other people just to be there, just to say, look, I support you. Even if there's nothing practically I can do from the other side of the world, I can't actually go out there and physically search. I can use my platform to support them, and that is what I will do. So that's what anyone can expect if they come on my platform, will be a supportive environment for Brandy and Tyler, their other children, and for Monkey.
Absolutely.
100%.
I can't deal. Said, what facts do you have that it's an abduction? The fact that that law enforcement is saying this is an abduction. They're treating this as an abduction. That's I'm going off of Chris McDonough. I'm going off of Jennifer Coffindaffer. That they're saying this is an abduction. Can you help me with this, Navalis?
No, I'm finding it hard to deal with some of the people in the Michael Vaughn case, to be honest. And even that, I wonder, is that a burner account there or someone else? Do you know?
Right.
I've gotten more comments and more of my kind of videos reported and more people blocked on any Michael Vaughn video than I have for any Summer Wells.
It's shocking.
And I've made
Shocking.
extreme ones on both ends of Summer Wells. I don't fully understand it, to be honest.
I just wonder if some of these people are not just here to troll us, or here to troll Brandy and Tyler, because they have no basis. The fact is, go listen to the press conference that the chief of police in Fruitland, Idaho gave, where he said the chances of abduction ever increasing because we have searched 3,500 acres of land, high and low, with every bit of equipment that you could possibly include, including search dogs, and we have not found him. They've got a watertight timeline for the parents, and 3 neighbours at least gave their timeline of actually seeing Michael before he disappeared. So if there's if you want to know where the evidence of abduction is, go listen to what the law enforcement are saying. You don't even have to take our word for it. Just go listen to them. Why are you asking us where the evidence is when the law enforcement have already put out the evidence? Go listen to it, find out. Seriously, I'm being serious, because this is the kind of question that we get, that we're like, so what you're basically saying is, where's your evidence of abduction? Or how about, where's your evidence that Brandy and Tyler were involved in this in some way? Go listen to law enforcement.
Oh, absolutely. Jeep Girl said they have never said it was an abduction. They
have.
They have said it's an abduction. Actually, Jennifer Coffindaffer volunteered her time to Brandy, and Brandy not got in touch. Ask her. I have spoken to Jennifer Coffindaffer personally. She was on my show about Summer Wells. Before the show, we spoke for quite a long time, and we spoke about Michael Vaughn. She said she had just talked to Brandy the night before, and that they keep in touch.
So I think there's probably some gaslighting going on in the chat.
So when did Jennifer Coffindaffer come out and say, hey, Brandy won't talk to me?
Right.
She told me that. Jennifer Coffindaffer told me that she talks to Brandy.
And I have also spoken to Brandy, and I know that Navalis has also spoken to Brandy. So it's, I think what is happening is there are some people in the chat that are deliberately trying to gaslight us, and I refuse to take that bait.
Can anyone tell me how it can be done? Do you know, people are very quick to throw comments in, but no one can put a logical explanation behind how this could happen in the time, because it doesn't exist.
Nope.
And this again stops people from looking for him. It stops, like, there might be one person who took him, but that person who took him, how many people know him? 20, 40 people? How many people went to school with him? And it's stopping people questioning their neighbours. It's stopping people questioning, I don't care, your own family. If there's anything dodgy at all, or something looks off, or you see someone that looks like Monkey, call it in. And it's the rubbish like this that's going to stop it.
Okay, again, someone is not paying attention. Why is she declining Coffindaffer's help? I have spoke to Jennifer Coffindaffer personally, who said she is in contact with Brandy. Unless she told her to piss off yesterday, she told me before she came on my show, Jennifer Coffindaffer, because we were talking about Monkey's case, that she is in contact with her. Why was she on Chris McDonough's show? Who was going to get to the bottom of it? We all know that. Nicole, hang on. When did you speak to her last? Today. No, I haven't spoken to her today. When did Jennifer Coffindaffer tell you that Brandy does not want her help any longer?
Right, you personally. When did you speak to Jennifer Coffindaffer, Nicole? When was the date that Jennifer Coffindaffer told you personally that Brandy doesn't want to help anymore? Honestly.
Mama Lioness, I don't think parents of missing children should talk to anyone on YouTube. I agree here and there. Let me tell you why. Now, I know that Brandy heavily vets people.
Mm-hmm.
Chris McDonough was even talking about that before she would go on his show. She vetted him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't been on here. She works during the day. Like I said, I will schedule one for when she's off work. Not a problem. She speaks with novelists quite a bit. She talks to Kat. There are some people she's not going to speak to,
Yeah.
and I don't blame her.
I don't either. 100%. I don't either. Given what she's been going through for the last week, let alone the last 8 months, 7, 8 months. I don't blame her for not talking to everybody that comes along. That would be really dangerous.
Yeah, she's been stung once. Do you know, like that's a lesson
Absolutely.
she'll learn it. And I think the person who even vetted Chris and rang him, I could be wrong, but I only picked this up from Chris, but I think that was the LE and the detectives, so they know themselves.
Yep.
The grief that the family are kind of getting, and they're trying to protect them a small bit. But it's very hard to keep them away from social media. You can tell them all you want, but they're trying to get his name out there and trying to find him and bring him home. Cleo Smith's parents were told, don't go near it. And they were like, no way. They were on social media.
Not every
pumping out
parent
their
is
name.
going to use social media in an appropriate manner. And I think if you're trying to use it in an appropriate way, in terms of you want your child's name and face to be seen and heard by as many people as absolutely possible, and that's your sole motive and your sole reason for doing it, then that's using it appropriately. Using it to raise money on a Cash App and putting up Amazon wish lists and all of that kind of stuff, to me, in my opinion, is a really inappropriate use of social media and doesn't help to find your child. So I guess it's just about, you go on social media with the right intentions mostly, but who do you meet on social media? Whose channels do you go on? I don't blame Brandy for vetting every single person whose channel she ever goes on. I would be exactly the same, because you don't want to end up like Candace, if I'm being quite frank, and Don, using social media completely inappropriately and not helping at all to find your daughter in any way, shape or form over 9 months of being on social media.
And this case is going to be a good example of content creators, even on YouTube. Like it's happened to me before, where I've subscribed to what I thought were true crime channels, and then all of a sudden I realised they're crama and drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even with this case and with how content creators approach it, like you'll see the only mask that will slip will be the mask of drama channels that are pretending to be true crime channels. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's quite prevalent. I mean, I hoped, and I know Brooks will as well, will never move into drama territory, because once you do, you're not a true crime channel anymore, and you completely lose focus on the victims, which is why you started your true crime channel in the first place, Well, that's the motive that most people should have.
Not most should. Nicole said, as for Brandy at Brooks, she said several times she's not working. She was in my chat last week. I told everyone to give Brandy a shout out. Tell her hi if she wants to take the link and come up, even though it wasn't about Monkey. And she said she's back to work.
Mm-hmm.
She
she's
was
back working full time. And she started back full time that day, I think it was, that she was in the chat.
Can I share my screen for 2 seconds, Brooks?
Please do.
I want to show a map.
Oh, you're very
Nicole spoke to Jennifer Coffindaffer this morning. She's preparing. She's an expert witness. And she said she's going to be busy till April 1st. That's what she's told a couple of people. So this morning, Jennifer Coffindaffer told Nicole. Okay.
Yeah. I'll plead the fifth on that one, I think. That's the ignorance one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got it right.
Put it up there, novelist. I see what you're doing. This is what I was waiting on.
I just want to show people, and we're talking about these Twitter sleuths. Can you see my screen?
No, you haven't shared it yet.
Oh,
No.
it says I'm sharing.
I see it
Yeah.
backstage.
Oh, I think you might have to click. I'll try again. You might have to click on it when it's backstage.
There you go.
So all this is Fruitland and Google Maps. That's all I'm on. I'm gonna just throw in the road. Live traffic just to show you the big huge interstate highway right next to it. That's one turn away from being absolutely gone out of there. I'm zooming in. The very first thing that I see, I'll go back to what it looks like on Google Maps, is an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school. So you have the whole school district, Screams Kids, down at the bottom of this town. And right over here, it's in green. This is inviting you to click Castleview Park. I click on that. The very first picture that comes up if it'll come up. Where's the picture? There you go. Is kids playing in the splash pad. These photographs were uploaded in July 2021. So these were only uploaded in the weeks before Monkey went missing.
Okay.
So if you can find me a better area to take a kid or to target an area in anywhere in America next to a road like that, like even if you were scouting an area and you're looking in and you're like, right, school. Hang on a sec. What's this over here? What's this park? You click on the park and you're getting fresh photographs that were uploaded. That, well, fresh, I mean, there were recent photographs that were uploaded of wet kids playing who are unattended. There was 2 photographs uploaded in July. That's the first one. I'll try and scroll down. That's the second one. So if that, like, how are people not seeing that this is going to attract someone in? And if you go into that area, like if you're looking at that park now, you see the schools, you see the roads. It looks like the entrance is up here on Cornwall Way. If I go back to satellite, you can see all the walkways up Cornwall Way. If I'm dropping someone in there who's walking down Cornwall Way after being up around the park here, maybe looking at kids, just here, coming out of the estate.
Okay.
Like right here as they're coming out of the estate, they have eyes on where Monkey was, down here.
Oh, wow.
This is the corner that he was on.
Wow.
Trees blocking the view of houses, isolated area.
Uh-huh.
Going back again, there are literally 2 right turns from being gone.
Huh.
You could not pick a better area. And those photographs that were uploaded, like anyone can do that. You can go on that now. You'll all see it. Castleview Park, school district.
Uh-huh.
Like, why didn't the Twitter sleuths? Why aren't they talking about that? Anyone can
Right.
find that. There's not much sleuthing there, do you know?
Huh.
But yet, they're not mentioning the photographs that were uploaded possibly days before that he went missing. That would have attracted someone into the area and putting them in eyesight of him. No one mentions
That's really
that.
interesting because that's one thing that Brandy has said is about feeling like she was being watched, and they went to that park.
Yeah.
Like she said, like most evenings they went at least once to the park or for a walk or whatever. So it's quite possible that there was somebody scoping that area.
And those photographs are disturbing. Like, do you know, I don't think he meant what he was doing, but you're just wet kids unattended in a park.
Right.
That's basically what they are, do you know? next to a school district, next to a road that you can be absolutely gone anywhere in. You can be in
Just
Canada
goes
there
to
in an
show
hour
how
on that
trusting
road.
they are in that area as well, because those kids are unattended. So obviously, you know, the kids would go up there and play by themselves. Like,
Reminds me of my hometown.
Yeah. And like that. Like, look, like you're going to pick, if you're going to take a kid, you want to be on this green line. You want to be on the big roads. And it's bang on it. Like, you could not pick a better spot.
The one that
If anyone has a better
concerns me
spot,
the
I'd love to see
most.
it.
No, I agree. The one that concerns me the most is 93 going into Nevada. Because that's the one where there is no signal on. I know because I've been there.
Yeah, you were saying about that before, like you can go for literally hundreds of miles with like no gas stations, no signal, no cell service, nothing, like no cameras, nothing. Like complete black spot in that area.
Like, even the time of the day, I'd imagine as well, someone with those type of tendencies, if they were on the way home from work, might take this route down here because it's a school district. You're going to be seeing kids. Someone who's a tourist in the area would be on Google Maps. Did they come in here and click on that park and
Right.
see the photographs and decide, I'll go over there for a look? But
Just
like,
makes
these are
it
the
even
small
more
little things
possible.
that, yeah. But I don't hear them talking about that or the photographs or the roads. Just hear nonsense. And like, that's there for anyone to go on to see. This is the dirt road that people are going to be talking about. Follow it. You can't get a car out there at all.
No.
And you'll see the cornfields and stuff like that. You'll see why initially your first reaction will be, I hope he's asleep in the fields or something. Do you know?
Right. Yeah, it's arable around there, isn't it?
Let's talk about the Amber Alert real quick. I do believe that
Okay.
they need an Amber Alert. In the state I live in, we have a different criteria than Tennessee. A child can be missing in the woods and they have an Amber Alert. Okay, they do. Iowa is very similar to their criteria. In my state, before an Amber Alert goes up, they have to have a description of a car, last known person they were with, and a tag number. Okay, it's been a big thing here for a long time. Idaho is somewhat similar. So if the Honda Pilot is ruled out, then they're not going to do an Amber Alert. It would literally take an act of Congress.
I guess we
They
don't
have
know
the
whether it's
12
been
hours
ruled
as well.
out or ruled in, do we?
I don't think it would do any good now. I think the only thing it would do now would probably get some publicity, like it would just get his name out there. But
I mean, the
I did
Google
say in
ads went up last week, didn't they? There was a series of Google ads that went up with Michael's information and picture and everything on different websites and stuff.
Like, it should
I'm not
have
saying that's
gone out. I thought it should have gone out later and just hold their hands up and say, look, we made a mistake at the time with this. It should have gone out. We're going to learn from it. We're going to put them on the list now. But like, look at the roads. Like, all the signs would have been up on the roads there straight away if it did go out. You know, it would have been huge for him. That's what he needed.
Yeah.
This is why we have them, or why you have them.
Yeah, I mean, that Amber Alert has been rejected twice as well. Like, the officials have rejected the Amber Alert twice in this case, and it's kind of like they've never really said why. I guess they don't have to.
The criteria is 12 hours, and
right. There's
once
one
that goes, then they wouldn't
Yeah.
issue it based off that. But like, Tennessee then can be very loose. They don't need a car, or but I think there's some states, and I know people won't agree with this, but I think there's some states are probably too loose with it.
Right.
It
I think
just
that was Jennifer
desensitizes people.
Coffindapper's concern, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or one of their concerns, that it could be overused, or that's what she was told, you know. Doesn't necessarily make it right, but they don't want to overuse it so that people don't then respond to it when they see an Amber Alert, I guess.
Yeah, there was only 25% of the people in the area, Brandy was saying, were signed up for the endangered person alert. Whereas if that
wow.
was Amber, it would be 100%.
Yeah. And like Jennifer Coffin-Duff said in that interview earlier, like it's got a 70% success rate once there is an Amber Alert
Yeah.
issued. 7 out of 10 people are found. So it's kind of like you kind of wonder why they won't put it out for Michael, but you know, I guess I've done everything I can. I mean, I wrote to some congressman or something. Someone gave me a name of someone to write to. I wrote to him, and he just sent me a really snotty email back saying, like, "What do you know? You don't even live in this country."
I was
like,
waiting
oh,
on
that's
that.
quite
You're
nice.
not from here. You're not
Right.
from here. I was waiting on
Like,
that.
why do you care if we have an Amber Alert or not? You don't even live here. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, that told me, didn't it? But I signed a petition. I mean, there is a petition going around to try to get Monkey and Amber Alert. I signed that, but I mean, realistically, there's very little I can do from here to try and make one happen. I just have followed the whole process of why it, you know, it being rejected twice and Brandy pushing for it, like with people supporting her and stuff. It just seems to have dried up and it's not going anywhere for some reason.
I think they need to look at the whole Amber Alerts in the next few years, because that was designed in a time when we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
And now we do. So there needs to be some way to separate the kind of alerts and separate maybe the alerts that you have on the roads, because that's brilliant to get that out so fast.
Yeah.
And
But I
especially
guess, like
with
Brooke
such
said, it's going to
big
take
roads.
an act of Congress, and that would take people voting locally and having the policies locally
Yeah.
to take it to Congress. And it's just, you know, I guess it's a lot more complicated than we can solve, really.
Yeah. I hope the names are out there of the people who, I haven't been able to find it, because I think it's 2 or 3 civil servants who it comes down to. It can be different
Mhm.
again in every state,
Yeah, the
but it's
names are
not
on Twitter. I did
like
have them at one point, but I can't remember what the names were. But it was the 2 people that were basically in charge of that in that state. They rejected it twice.
and I wonder, like, with it being so close to Oregon as well, like, does things like that help? Do you know, the fact that
Mm.
little
I think we
state
talked about that
rivalries?
before, didn't we, Brooks?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite unusual for an Amber Alert. Well, it's not as usual, let's put it that way, for an Amber Alert to be issued in either of those states, in Oregon or Idaho. So I think it kind of went under the radar in both of those states.
Yeah, and Melanie answered it. She said, simple answer is funds, because when there's an Amber Alert in this state, I know it's solved really fast. I mean,
Mhm.
within hours.
Right.
Within hours. It is a special criteria.
Yeah. But does it cost a lot of money to issue an Amber Alert?
I
Or does
mean,
it just requires more
well,
resources?
they put out, I mean, you get an alert on your phone, it's on the TV, billboards go up, law enforcement all across the states involved. So it's a high alert system.
Yeah. I know there is he's on the National Exploited and Missing Children Register, like whatever that's called. Centre for Missing and Exploited Children, or I know he's on that.
Yeah.
Then if they think the child went across state lines, they get the FBI involved. The
Mhm.
FBI is involved in this case heavily.
Yep.
I mean, they are.
Yep. Well, we know they are because they've spoken. Brandy and Tyler are cooperating with them, so you know we know they're involved.
They flew search dogs in on special planes. They chartered
Yeah.
planes to fly dogs in. There was nothing they
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
throw at it, except an Amber Alert.
Sonia said, I keep playing over in my head that someone in that neighborhood is the perpetrator. A lot of people said that in a chat we had before. They're like, I think he knocked on the wrong door.
Possibly.
He went across the street, you know, they have him on camera, and it, you know, that could be it too. But they've shaken everyone. I mean, they've talked to all the neighbors. They have opened their homes. Come in, come in, come in. They've gone through the RSOs. They've done an extensive search. And they, I
More
mean,
than
they've even
once as
said
well.
as the days go by.
Yeah, more than once as well. They've shaken over that neighbourhood. I mean, literally, any time that they've turned up unannounced to search properties, every person has opened their doors and been like, "Come and search." Like, to me, knowing what I know about American law and culture and all of that kind of stuff, it doesn't seem highly usual for people to just throw their doors open and be like, come in. I mean, like what we've seen with like the Summer Wells case, where there's still people that are not really allowing Ellie to search their properties, for example. This is a neighborhood where everyone's doors opened, come in, search my house, you know?
And that's a very good example because she still has an Amber Alert, yet
Mhm.
they've said there's no abduction. Look at
Mm.
Breasia Terrell in Iowa. They said no abduction, yet there
Right.
was an Amber Alert. They didn't take it down. It's
Uh-huh.
different in every state.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I am not going to dogpile Brandy and Tyler when Brandy was at work. Tyler was at home with other children present while they're saying it's an abduction or most likely an abduction.
Yeah. And they're saying that the possibility of an abduction is increasing by the hour pretty much because of the areas that they've searched, the amount of investigation that they've done. They believe it's an abduction case. The likelihood just gets higher and higher for them. It's not going down. The likelihood is not going down that this was an abduction case. It's getting greater. So I guess that tells you something.
Well, before I start closing this down, Navalis, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day? Everyone is in here commenting on your
Oh, I
Irish
want to know too.
accent.
I want to know.
I'm not doing much. I might watch the parade on TV, maybe.
You're not going out for the crick.
No, I don't know. I'll see. Sometimes there, you don't plan on much on Paddy's Day, and see where it takes you.
Oh mate.
What do
have
you
fun.
eat for St. Patrick's Day? Because I
Oh,
mean, over
there's
here,
nothing special for Paddy's Day, really. There's no. You eat pints. That's what you eat.
Pints, okay.
Pints of lager.
Yeah,
Beer.
pints of Guinness.
Guinness, yeah.
There's no turkey and ham or anything like that.
You don't need food, you've got Guinness.
Yeah.
It's very nutritious.
Wow.
Do you go to a parade or anything?
No, I wouldn't. Not anymore. They're not great. The parades over in the States are better than the parades here.
Really?
Yeah. All there is a few GA clubs kind of marching and band camps and schools out with their hurleys and footballs.
Oh, it sounds fun.
Yeah. Happy okay.
We don't do anything here.
It might be good now tomorrow because there wasn't much going on the last 2 years, so it might be a bit of a release, or they might have a few
everyone's
floats there built up.
Breaking out of lockdown. Let's go celebrate.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to grab the link to Navalis's channel real quick.
I have a live stream scheduled in for Monday as well for Monkey. I'm just doing a little Monkey Monday thing. Like last Monday.
I like that name.
Yeah, I just went with. I was like, give me an M. But last week we were kind of looking at it. What we were trying to do was create a kind of targeted poster. So it was just a different poster than you would have, say, just a general kind of missing persons poster. So the idea with it was that we're trying to target someone that knows the person who took Monkey. And what I'm going to try and do next week, if I can, or we're just going to try and look at the areas or the profile of people who know them, because then I might target that specific audience in a specific region on like Facebook ads or something like that.
Yeah.
So we kind of just had the stream, looked at a few posters, got some brilliant ideas off people. I'll try and get the poster up there just to show you. And this was all done by the chat in live stream, and we're kind of getting ideas off each other as well. But like with this one,
yeah, I thought that was great. I saw that.
I saw that.
And we built it through it, right? We were trying to like put the emphasis here on hero, you kind of underline and be that hero, because we're like somebody knows who took him, or somebody knows the person who took him, and just trying to
that's awesome.
Do a poster that will just give them that little push to maybe think about that neighbor or think about that person that you saw down in the gas station who looked a bit dodgy or felt a bit off. So we might try and update that. I was thinking afterwards, I probably should. It was funny what you were saying at the start, Brooke, about money, because I was thinking about that as well during the week. Reward fund, because I don't know either how much difference it makes. Like, is someone sitting at home being like, I have information,
Mhm.
I'm not going to give her for 50,000, but I'd give her for 55. Do you know?
Right.
But the one with the information is the one that has monkey, and they can't do it. There's been very, very, very big rewards in many cases. Everybody was going ape shit about the reward for Breasia Terrell. Well,
Mhm.
Dinkins is in jail. He's going to trial in May. Now, that reward money does him no good. Harvey Montgomery, Adam and Kayla are in jail.
Who's the one whose remains were found by the fishermen and they didn't even get the reward, even though they found the remains?
Breasia Terrell.
Breasia Terrell, yeah. I thought so. So even in that case, when her remains were found by the fishermen, they weren't able to claim the reward anyway.
And then we have Jamie in Wisconsin. She has escaped her abductor, and the woman that came across her, they gave her the reward. This woman gave her the reward.
Yeah, and even if, imagine someone calling you being like, oh, look, thanks for calling that in there, we have a reward of 50k. You'd surely be like, just give it to the next missing kid. Do you know?
Yeah.
I wonder how much I don't think it's much of a driving force.
Yeah, I
Unless it's
don't
something like
either.
20 million and we suddenly have private companies out looking or something, do you know?
Right. But I mean, I guess in Monkey's case, it's a little bit different because if anybody else, like, I don't know, say for example, he was being held in someone's house and someone happened to catch a glimpse through the window and call the police, perhaps that person could claim the reward. But
Yeah.
it's not something that's motivating people to go out and search for him, because the only person that knows exactly where he is right now is the abductor.
Yeah. So
And he's
we're
not
going to
going to
look
go
back
to the
at that
police and be
again.
like, oh, by the way, I abducted him. Can I have the £50,000
Yeah.
now, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I might need that, because 50K would
Right.
actually buy my freedom. Not not in this
No.
America, it won't, buddy.
Right.
Cost OJ
Right.
Simpson, almost $500,000.
Mhm.
Yeah. There was one girl in one of my subscribers after we put this up is actually going on a road trip next week with her boyfriend, and they printed off 600 of these, and they're going to put them in all the,
Really?
Wow.
yeah,
That's
she's going to
awesome.
put them in all the garages and gas stations that she passes.
Now,
Wow.
one thing that they have said is if you come across a family, kind of reminds me of Hornbeck, reminds me of Elizabeth Smart, and you see a child that seems out of place, call 911.
Right. Right. Also, just quickly going back to that, circling back to that poster thing, on the missing Michael Vaughn missing Fruitlands community Facebook group, they have like a map where if you go round putting up flyers, you put a pin in the map of all the places where you've put the flyers up, so that they can keep track
Oh,
of how
really?
far the flyers have gone.
I'll have to check that out. I'll send them on to her. I'll send her on
Yeah, it's
to.
awesome. And like from there, you can actually see that there's a large proportion of the United States that is covered in flyers. I guess not everyone's going to see one tomorrow when they go out, but it looks from that map as though a lot of people are spreading the word and are putting flyers up. So it might be a really good idea if these people post up 600 flyers, if they can go on that map and put a pin and say like where
definitely.
they've covered.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send her on
It's
to her.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome poster nevertheless.
But we're trying to get, like, the next thing
You're-
now will be trying to get the person. Like, are we trying to target a neighbor or his mother, say? So then if we did run ads on Facebook, like, and you can do it very cheap. We'll just have a specific location, and could be, say, female, only over 40, only over, say, the age of 45, that has kids or has one kid. Just trying to get this poster in front of that person who has that doubts about a person.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And we just made it a bit personal then, because we wanted to put in just a bit of personal information. So as you're reading down through it, they'll just have that picture in their head of Michael's birthday party and the fact that he should be spending it with his family.
Yeah. 24th of June, I remember that.
So that's it. That's scheduled in for Monday if any of you are around.
We
I'd be
will be.
delighted if you could join.
Will be there?
Absolutely will be there. I've already hit my reminder. I'm going to share your link again. Hang on. Because we've got to keep monkey's name out there. We have to. This case needs way more attention than what it's getting.
Yeah. And way more positive attention, I think.
Yeah, and just looking in the right direction. The fact that
Right.
people, this is probably what they should be doing, talking about them, putting out posters and showing where they did put out the posters and
Yeah.
thinking about the person who took them, not thinking about nonsense.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, in my video recently that I made about the truckers, what are they called, missing child truckers or something.
Truckers for
Can't remember.
trafficking. Truckers for trafficking.
Truckers for Missing Children, I think it was called, and they
It's
put
called
out.
no, it's called Truckers for Trafficking.
Oh no,
Not
that
for
wasn't. That
no,
wasn't.
no,
That
not
wasn't.
for. Sorry, no. The group I'm in, it's Truckers Against Trafficking. Shit, what an
Oh,
idiot I am.
oh no,
And
that wasn't the one that I was. That wasn't the one
okay.
that I covered though. It was called Truckers for Missing Children, I think, and they obviously because they travel across the United States, so they're like companies like that and organisations like that are in a prime position to put up posters and flyers and look for them and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know about the one that you're in, Brooks, but that kind of thing is a great idea for getting missing children's information out there. Well, you know that anyway because you're kind of in the trade.
Little bit.
But yeah, a little bit.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here and keeping Monkey's name out. We've kept you almost 2 hours. I mean, Kat, as always, you're a huge advocate for victims and missing children. You know, we keep to the facts. That's what they told us.
Absolutely.
That's what we run with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Brooks. I really appreciate it. And I kind of feel a little bit starstruck. I got to be on panel with Navalis.
Me too. I think everyone else is.
You're being too kind.
I'm
No.
just kind of let down that, you know, he's like, well, I'm just going to watch the parade on TV and have some pints. We were like looking for 4-leaf clovers and leprechauns. We had like a totally different concept of what St. Patrick's Day in Ireland is.
Do you know what I was doing today? I was doing a small little presentation for a live stream that I've scheduled in later on Delphi about why Tony Klein is BG. So that's what I was doing for my day.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were doing a little Irish jig or something. Like...
No. No.
But no, it's been an absolute privilege. So thank you so much for having me out. Please, everyone, keep Monkey's name out there, and that would be a great outcome for this show. So thank you so much, Brooks. I really appreciate it.
Hang on, I got to put your link up real quick. Hang on.
Okay, you can.
Fine. Well. Give me a minute.
Okay. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day as well, Navalis, and also to Gaelic Gal who's in the chat.
Yep, absolutely. We had a corned beef and cabbage.
Nice.
Corned beef
potatoes
and
and carrots on Sunday. So we celebrated ours on Sunday, even though we're not in Ireland.
It's always amazing to me because we don't celebrate it at all in England. I mean, we don't even celebrate our own Saints' Day in England, but like the rest of the world goes crazy for St. Patrick's Day, and we're like, what's the crack?
Any excuse for a few drinks and a bit of food.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
You got that right. You got that right.
Yeah.
Navalis, I cannot thank you enough for coming up and taking time out of your day, coming on panel, especially for putting the map up. The amazing discussion. We keep everything light here. We keep everything an open discussion. We just don't like to go off the rails too much, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you and I have talked back and forth, and we seem to agree.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for having me. And thanks for even doing these streams, Brooks and Kat, and just keeping his name out there and pushing back on some of the nonsense that's going around.
Absolutely. Keep his name out there, guys. I'm going to put the poster that Navalis made. I'm going to put it on the community tab so you guys can share it. It's very important. And don't forget to subscribe to Navalis, subscribe to Kat. If you're new in here, you can subscribe
to Brooks.
You can subscribe to me too.
Absolutely.
This was a great show. I appreciate everyone being here. We can all agree to disagree, right?
Right.
I'm actually going to put this meme up real quick. This is perfect for our community. I'm a thinker, so make sure all your shit adds up before I start calculating.
Excellent. Love that.
Yeah.
True story.
Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Thanks again, Kat. Thanks again,
Thank
Napolis.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Panel is
Bye-bye.
open for you guys anytime. You know it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's give a big round of applause to Navalis True Crime and to Kat. And the main thing is we have to keep Michael Vaughn's name out there. Have to. The truth is going to come out. We're not law enforcement. We don't know what's in their folder. So we're just going to keep keep his name out there. On this channel, we agree to disagree. I want to hear what you think, your opinions, what you know, and we go from there. This is not a dumpster fire. But thank you, everyone, for being here. If you want to come into Discord, you know the routine. Send me an email, and I'll bring you in. Justice for Kids. You are disrespectful to me about Monkey. I thought all opinions matter. They do. I don't even remember your comment, I don't even remember seeing you in here. So I apologize. If anybody was disrespectful, all I know is we're going off of what the news reports have said. If you know something else, my email is open. CLL72020. Prayers to bring Monkey home. Prayers for strength for his family, his siblings, and the ultimate hell they are going through. This is a parent's worst nightmare. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. All right? See you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.